Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am Richard the Razor Ewing. He is Matt, the wise man, wise. And if you're watching us right now, you put your game face on. Always lead off with my questions. If you are looking to find out how you can get the best detail out of that carpet that you cleaned last week, you're on the wrong podcast. And if you're looking to figure out how you can get the, you know, the roof, reshingled, and you need directions, you're on the wrong podcast. However, if you're trying to get insight in the Bay Area sports in the San Francisco Bay Area, you just put your game face on. And if you're trying to get insight into sports on a national level, once again, you put your game face on. I said it once, I say it again. I am Richard the Razor Ewing. My main man, Matt Wise, is here with us. Matt, what do we got?
What's going on, man? Hey, you're right. If you're here for carpet advice, listen, I'm the wrong dude. My son had an accident with the carpet this last week, and I threw the carpet away.
You just got rid of it.
So I ain't gonna help you with any carpet advice.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, we got that out of the way. That's good. Okay, all right. So we got a lot to talk about. We only got 30 minutes. We got to talk about the Matthew Stafford deal. Okay. I mean, because this is a situation where it was, for the most part, the hot talk was that the Niners are going to go after Matthew Stafford. Okay. Doesn't happen. Instead, he ends up in LA instead of San Francisco. Now, the Rams send 2 first-round picks, a third-round pick, and they send Jared Goff to the Lions. I don't know about you, but if I'm Jared Goff, I feel like I just got demoted.
I mean, and they gave it up. They gave it up. They gave up a lot, the Rams did, to get Stafford. You could see the direction that it was going for Goff. It wasn't really going well. Things weren't clicking after that Super Bowl season. I'm not sure what it was for him. For the Rams, this is a huge upgrade. For a Niners fan like myself, it's worrisome because now you have a consistent quarterback back there that can make all the plays for you. So I think for the Rams, it's a great pickup. I think they gave up a lot for it because Matthew Stafford isn't going to be your quarterback for the next 10 years.
Right.
He's kind of a stopgap, and that's what worried about me for the 49ers. If you pick him up, if the rumors were true that they were going to make a run at Stafford, he's not a long-term solution.
No, he's not. And generally, whenever you do any type of trade like this or any type of pickup like this, you got to think long-term. And I think that may be the reason why Lynch and Shanahan didn't go after Stafford. I think they looked and thought, well, he's got, his tires are a little worn. If we do this, we got to think of 3 years down the line, because we all know in 3 years, both of these guys' jobs are going to be on the hot seat, okay, because their contracts are probably going to be up. Do we have some bills to pay? Do you have the promo? You do not. Okay. Well, guess what? So we're going to have to find a Bet Online promo because we got to run that. And did I send it to you?
I did not get it. No.
Okay. All right. That's all right. We'll pick it up. Didn't I send it to you last week though?
Last week, yes. I'll take a look for it.
Okay. We just need to read it. That's all. But anyway, getting back to what we're talking about. We're talking about Stafford. We're talking about the deal. We're talking about all these first round picks and everything. And then this is the other problem. The other problem with Stafford is this. He's got some age. He got some wear and tear. But it's kind of a situation, like you said. We don't know if this is going to work out for the Rams in the next 2 to 3 seasons. So, but do me a favor too, man. See if you can find that promo because we got to read it.
Well, here we go, Richard. Richard, hold on. NFL season is coming to an end. We got a Super Bowl this weekend. And we might not be at the game. We might not be going to the game. I'm going to be watching the game.
Okay.
But you can still bet on the action at Bet Online. From game spreads to totals to players to coaches to coaching props, Bet Online gives you more options to wager than any other place online. And there's always the online casino. Richard, online casino never closes. So I encourage you, head to betonline.ag today and take advantage of all the great sign-up bonuses. Again, that's betonline.ag and sign up today.
There you go. I knew my man was going to pull it off.
Hey, we do it on the fly here. I'm not a polished sports person. I'm a dude that loves to talk sports, and that's what we're here doing.
Okay, well, wait a minute. You bite your tongue, sir. You are very polished. Don't let anybody tell you you're not. All right. So Jared Goff's contract was $134 million, and now the Lions are carrying that.
Listen, I am super happy for the Rams. Way to go. You got your quarterback. Listen, the Rams were in a position where they had to win now. They got a quarterback that can give them a chance to win now. Niners are in a position where they got to figure a lot of things out at quarterback position, if we're talking about quarterbacks. And they got to figure out, what are they doing with Jimmy Garoppolo? Are they riding with Jimmy Garoppolo next year? If they are, what are they going to do in the draft? I hope that they spend that number 12 pick on a young quarterback that could be your quarterback forever. Or are you really, really making a push at Deshaun Watson? Because if you are, this is a quarterback-driven league. My buddy, he hit me up on it, and he said, listen, you got to remember, this is a quarterback-driven league. If you have a chance to get a talent like Deshaun Watson, go out and get him. So here we are, a third week talking about it. If it's still an option, do it.
Okay, but this is the problem. The problem is, first of all, I'm going to let you know, Houston, they're not even talking Deshaun Watson trade right now. They've taken it off the table for now, okay? The other problem is this. Houston's going to want a lot, okay? And some of these scenarios that they've been talking about, some of it is just ridiculously crazy. I mean, they're talking, like, say, for instance, if the Niners were to consider talking to Houston, Houston could come to them and say, oh, well, guess what? You give us 3 number 1 picks, give us Garoppolo and George Kittle or Nicky Bosa or both, and we'll give you Deshaun Watson. And that's just ridiculous to me.
Yeah, you're out of your mind on giving you Kittle or Bosa. But maybe one or the other. I don't know. I probably wouldn't give up Bosa. He's, to me, the anchor of your defense. I maybe, because, again, this is a league. Look at what we have in the Super Bowl. Who's in the Super Bowl? 2 elite quarterbacks. You got Bay Area Brady, the GOAT, and you have Patrick Mahomes, who's trending upwards to be another GOAT in the making if he continues to have the career that he's having. So it's a quarterback league. So maybe you do have to part with a guy like Kittle or Bosa. It hurts to say. I don't like that. I don't think that's a good trade, but you're going to have to give up some pieces.
Okay, this is me. If I'm John Lynch right now, my whole deal is that I would do the 3 first-round picks. I'd give him Garoppolo, okay? I'd give him George Kittle. I'm not giving him Nicky Bosa. That's not going to happen, okay? Because this is the thing. And some people would even say, well, Rich, giving up George Kittle is crazy. And you're right, it is. But what do we know from watching the NFL? We know that when, a budding new star comes in the NFL, his first season, or maybe in the first 2 seasons, he has breakout performances, okay? Then, as time goes on, people start doing film study on the person, okay? Once they start doing the film study, then they start figuring the guy out, okay? Then, by the 3rd or 4th season, that same guy that was coming in with these breakout, seasons or whatever, starts to slow down a little bit. All of a sudden, he gets injured, okay? Now, all of a sudden, guess what? He's not performing like he was when he first came in the league, okay? And that's the reason why I would consider the George Kittle trade, okay? Bosa, no, absolutely not. I'm sorry. Bosa, like you said, go ahead.
let me float another potential scenario that I think would be so cool. Keep Jimmy Garoppolo. You need to rebuild the quarterback's room around him, right? Bring in a quarterback like Fitzmagic. Bring in a quarterback like Cam Newton if he doesn't go back to New England, which I don't think he is. Bring in a quarterback back like that. Put him in a room with Jimmy Garoppolo. Now also take your number 12 pick and draft a quarterback at the number 12 pick, like that kid out of North Dakota. Is it North Dakota? I believe it is. Trey Lance, North Dakota State. Draft him. Put him on the bench because he doesn't have a ton of experience. So he's going to need to sit on the bench and learn. Put him on the bench. Let him learn under a quarterback like Cam Newton, like Jimmy Garoppolo, that you building in that room now because they need help in that quarterback room. And you don't have to give up the farm. A two-year thing. That's it.
Well, I'll tell you something. That's actually not a bad idea. I like the Cam Newton pickup. I think that's amazing if you can make that happen. I will say this much though. When it comes to, I don't know, man. It's just the Deshaun Watson deal to me. It's just the answer to me. It really is. It's just the answer. He's only 25 years old, and I'll tell you something. When this guy first came in the league, I was stunned that Lynch and didn't go after this kid. I thought, dude, what is it that you don't like about this kid? He can throw the football. He can run, okay? His passer ratings are through the roof. And this is the thing. Here's another chance to get him, okay? All right? Okay? It's like you pass on these opportunities, and we've seen this movie before, okay? When the Niners had a situation to jump on something, they didn't do it because either they didn't like the money or they felt like, well, you know what, we really don't know. That was in there, everybody's brain got foggy and no one could think. It was like, dude, come on.
If the rumors are true, right, which the rumors are swirling and they've been swirling around more and more as the days pass, but if the rumors are true and there's this love affair with Shanahan and Kirk Cousins, you know, again, there's an option that's not really a great option. It's not a huge jump at quarterback position for you. It's not. So I hope they're taking I hope they're taking a serious look at Deshaun Watson and reaching out to him and his agent to see if there's any interest, to see if you could pull a trade off that way. But yeah, I mean, you're going to have to give up a lot. But if you could solidify your quarterback position for 10 years, are you okay losing 3 first-round picks for the next 3 years?
Yeah. Because you know what we know? We know that, hey, the proof is in the pudding. And you look at the first-round picks in the last 10 years, how many breakout stars you got? Not a lot.
It's hit and miss.
Yeah, it is. Hit and miss. It is hit and miss. And this is the other part of it. The other part of it is that when you look at Deshaun and you look at how he's performed well when he's happy. Okay? You bring him to San Francisco, he's going to be happy. New environment, new coach. It's like a revamping of his career, okay, if you will, to him, okay? You give up a George Kittle, okay. You still have Deebo Samuel.
You still got Ayuk. You still got Mostert.
Okay? And I don't know if they're going to keep who I like to call a Bourne identity.
Jason Bourne or Kendrick Bourne.
Kendrick Bourne. I don't know if they're going to keep him. But I tell you something, I would like to see them keep him. I think Bourne's not a bad receiver. I really don't.
I think you could get better on the market, a better third, fourth receiver.
Yeah, but Bourne, the reason why I like him so much, he's that uncanny receiver that you can't put your finger on. Every game, that guy was making a catch that was uncatchable and at a time when no one thought he would catch it.
You may think so, but that's just because he was so flashy every time he caught it. He thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I'm not a huge Kendrick Bourne fan. I think he's got great dance moves. I think, he's entertaining. I think they can do better on the market, you know, than what they have there to get a deeper wide receiver core. What they're going to have to focus on is their O-line, and what are they going to do on their D-line? What are they going to do with a guy like Kerry Hyder Jr.? What's going on with a guy like D Ford? There's just a lot of questions for the 49ers.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna drive the car in the other direction now. Let's talk Golden State Warriors. Okay, I'm sure you heard by now. Wiseman is out. He's got a wrist injury. His left wrist it's sprained. So they're looking at 7 to 10 days, and then they're going to reevaluate him. But you kind of starting to get the feel that with everything that Kerr's trying to do with this franchise, it seems like something else just keeps popping up. You know, he's got Marquise Chris is injured. You know, he's pretty much out. We already know Clay's out. And then you get the 7-foot center who is making a splash, and now all of a sudden he's injured. And it might not be a serious injury. You may be able to come back in 7 to 10 days, like you said, but it just seems like every time you turn around, something else is happening. I was going to ask you, did you notice the back and forth commentary from Klay Thompson to Steph Curry the other night when they played against the Pistons?
I loved it. I loved it.
Great.
You gotta love Klay. You gotta love the camaraderie those two have. You gotta love the camaraderie actually that the whole team has. You have to credit Steve Kerr for that and for the amazing job he's done, whether during a pandemic playing basketball or not. The Warriors are in 8th place. They're tied like a 5-team tie, 4.5 games out. They're 11-9. They just came off a stretch of basketball where if you throw out the Phoenix Suns game, it was pretty flawless little run of basketball for the last 4 or 5 games. And now you're coming up on a stretch of some really, really tough basketball and really tough competition. And you started out tomorrow night with the Boston Celtics, and then you have a back-to-back against the Dallas Mavericks. And don't sleep on the Mavericks. I know they're down in the standings this year, but Luka Doncic's calling out himself. He's calling out his teammates. He's calling out, his team. I would expect to see a turnaround. Those are going to be 2 tough games. And then you have a back-to-back with the Spurs. So, you got a tough little stretch, and then right after that, you facing KD and the Magic team, the dynasty team, the all-star team they have now down in Brooklyn. So it's going to be tough without Wiseman for sure.
Well, I think also you have to consider that because they don't have Marquise Chris, because they Wiseman's going to be out. They got to go to Smiley Beach at this point. And we know that, Allen's he's not the guy that they thought or assumed that he would become. He's been in and out of the G League, over the last, several weeks. And I don't know, he just seems, the guy to me looks like he's got cement feet, man. He doesn't move around. He doesn't go after the ball. He's kind of waiting for the plays to come to him. And I'm just thinking, well, shoot, man, they talked about this guy like this guy was going to be, the next European, sensation to hit the league. And I'm looking at him, I'm thinking, dude, what are you doing, man? You, like I said, he just looks like he's waiting for the play to come to him.
Listen, don't be fooled by my appearance. I could play some ball, okay?
Right.
I could play some basketball. I can get down. But you put me in the NBA, my feet are going to look like they're in cement too. The game is just a lot faster.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it looks for Smiley Beach. It looks like the game's a little bit too fast for him. You're right. It does look like he's got cement boots. So, hey, it's a good chance. Next man up. Let's see what you got. See where your game's improved. It's your time.
Yeah. Well, I will say this much, that we have discussed the 49ers and we discussed the Warriors. Let's talk a little baseball. Let's talk a little Giants. Both. It just so happened that we turned on today. We both had Giants caps on. I know our audience is probably thinking, oh, these guys said this stuff. No, we didn't, to be honest.
Nope.
I swear.
2 months.
I put my Giants stuff on today, and I turned up my Zoom, all of a sudden Matt's got his Giants. I'm like, man, this is getting kind of scary now. I was like, shoot, but we
first of all, 2 months till opening day. Second of all, I'm going to bring this up. Shame on you, Hall of Fame. Shame on you, Hall of Fame writers, for not voting anyone into the Hall of Fame this year. If your Hall of Fame is supposed to be tell the history of baseball, and you're going to leave guys like Barry Bonds out, whether you like him or not, or agree with what he did or not, you can't tell the history of baseball without that man. And so getting on baseball, I just had to rant on that. It's heartbreaking that we are not going to get a Hall of Fame class with the inductees, the guys that were nominated, that were on the list. They should have got in, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you didn't interrupt at all. And I'll tell you something, you pretty hit the hammer on the nail head there, because I'll tell you something, I'm actually very appalled at the Hall of Fame and the writers as well, because really at the end of the day, they need to understand that time was happening because guys like Bud Selig and the so-called aficionados, if you will, in baseball allowed it, okay? And if baseball allowed it, then how does the Hall of Fame think that they should be able to decide simply because somebody was juicing or somebody wasn't juicing? The fact of the matter is, you had over 100 different players that were juicing, okay? And everybody knows it. And some of those people already got into the Hall, okay? So you go, okay, well, now you're being real judgmental now, because you're saying this guy can get in. He was juicing, but you're letting him in, but you ain't letting guys like Kirk Schilling and Barry Bonds and oh man, Boston Red Sox pitcher.
Omar Vizquel.
Yeah.
There was, the list was, I mean, it's just so sad for baseball. And it hurts me as a baseball fan that, the commissioner during that time is inducted into the Hall of Fame. And they turned a blind eye, turned the other cheek to what was going on in baseball. They had to have, well more than 100 players. It had to have been. 100 that we probably know of. It's disheartening. But you know what? I'm looking forward to Giants baseball. I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do this year. I'm looking forward to seeing Buster Posey come back, seeing what they could do to put those pieces together, see them kind of implement some of these stars, Joey Bart and some of the other up and comers that are everybody. I hear the rumor about some of these young guys coming up, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I tell you something, there is the other side of the bay too, the A's. Okay, and we recently found out today, it appears that Marcus Semien is no longer going to be in Oakland A. Apparently, he's gone to Toronto, signed a 1-year deal with them. And this isn't new for the A's. It isn't. The A's do this all the time. They bring in these guys, they become stars, and the first thing they do is they offload them to somebody else. It has been their makeup as long as I've known them. And it is sad, okay, to watch, because, we're talking Bay Area sports here. Now, we may have our particular team, but still, in the end of the day, we root for the Bay teams. That's what we do. So we've seen the Dream Series before, and we loved it, okay, when the A's played the Giants. But the thing is, if you're going to be offloading all this talent, how do you ever think you're going to be able to compete at a high level and actually compete for the pennant?
It's so sad because, growing up, I had one of those split hats. Nobody wants to claim they had them, but it was like A's on one side and Giants on the other side. Yeah.
I had one for football with the Niners and the Raiders.
There you go. And I definitely have a love for the A's. My dad went to the '89 World Series. He was there when the earthquake struck at that World Series game. I have stuff in my office about that World Series that has A's stuff all over it. It's just so sad that the A's really haven't got it together as an organization to put it together. And it's disheartening for the fans too. And you see it, when the season starts, they just kind of know what the A's are going to be. And if they even have a good team, the uncertainty of if they're going to have that team toward the end of the year when it's time to contend for a championship. So, and that's what's tough. It's that mentality of Well, who is this going to be? The guys we're starting with, this group of guys, are these going to be the guys we're going to end the season with? And you never know with the Oakland A's.
Yeah, and I think because we were talking about this earlier too, you're starting to think though, you're starting to see that, and you don't want to say this, but you're starting to think that you may be trying to see that in San Francisco too, because Farhan, ever since he took the helm, he's been very, very. I mean, what is it? I mean, Ebenezer Scrooge, man. When it comes to spending money, he's like, look, the smaller. And don't get me wrong, I understand why, because when he got there, they had some pretty inflated contracts, no question about it. But I'm saying, what do we know? We know that in any type of sport where it's a commercial sport like that, you got to have that big ticket. That big ticket's got to come from somewhere. You can't put, and don't get me wrong. I guess Billy Beane's probably the best example of this because he had a bunch of guys out there that weren't the big ticket and they were still winning games. But we can see that it's starting to lead now. Okay, I wouldn't be surprised if Crush Davis, who I like to call him in Oakland, I wouldn't be surprised if he after the season he's looking to go someplace else because he knows he can make more money.
Right. And the A's aren't going to pay him. He knows the A's aren't going to pay him because they don't pay anyone.
No.
And that's a problem. And that's kind of been a problem with baseball in general, is they got away from promoting their players, their big players, the big name players. And the whole league just kind of fell off, I mean, look at the Giants in the heyday. You had Barry Bonds. I mean, he carried the organization for almost 20 years, it seemed like.
Yeah.
I know it wasn't, but it seemed like it was. And then you had the World Series run. A little bit of me has to go, am I just spoiled as a Giants fan? Do I need to be realistic about some of the expectations and what it takes to rebuild a Major League Baseball team, unless your name is the Yankees or the Dodgers, or now you throw the Padres hat in the ring, which if you're a Giants fan, it's scary looking at our division with some of the hitters that we have being the Dodgers and the Padres, because it's going to be scary.
So we got a few minutes and we're going to be shutting it down, but I want to go back and pivot back to the 49ers again because you talked earlier about the possibility of them going after Kirk Cousins, which I think, I'm sorry, I just, if they do that, then guess what? My view of the 49er organization changes dramatically. Okay. They're not the same organization anymore because, like I said, when you pick up a player, you pick up the player because you always want to go up. Okay. You don't pick up a player so you stay the same. Okay. You pick it up so you can go up. Okay. And if you don't go up, then you didn't solve anything by making the move. Okay. And guess what? If that's the case, just keep Garoppolo. Okay. In other words, if you go after Kirk Cousins, you might as well just keep Garoppolo. At least with Garoppolo, you know what you're getting. With Cousins, we don't know what we're getting.
You don't, and to me, Garoppolo has a way huger upside than Kirk Cousins does. So, it's just, for me, it's not a good fit. One thing before we head out, I do want to mention, hey, San Jose Sharks, I know they're not having a standout beginning to the year. It's been kind of a rough start. But I love the goalie they picked up. I love his name mainly, Devin Dubnyk. That is just a excellent hockey name. The Dubnyk, Devin Dubnyk.
Wow.
He's got a few starts already this year. Haven't looked great, but go Sharkies.
Okay. Well, the other thing that we got to let our listeners know, if you can see behind Matt in his room, we got basically the GameFace t-shirts that we are issuing to new subscribers. So if you're not a subscriber, and if you subscribe, you'll get one of these t-shirts. And we got them in two colors, in blue and in gold. And they feature a really cool picture of Stephen Curry when he was going off one night. I remember that look he gave too, because he looked just like his dad when he did it. But dude, you really want to subscribe? You subscribe, we get you the t-shirt. And we just do that because we just appreciate having our listeners in. we're going to have to say goodbye because we run out of time. I'm Richard the Razor Ewing. He's Matt, the wise man, Wiseman. And this is GameFace. You can come in, you can sit down, you can put your feet up. But if you do, you better have your game face on.